Hey, once again, this is Clyde Harden here, your next level coach. You chose me, and here I am to show up to help you do the work it's going to take to get you to the next level. I told you before, I'm your next level coach. I'm here to take you from your frustration to your destination by helping you admit that you're not where you want to be, accept where you should be, and do the work that it's going to take to get you where you're supposed to be. I'm so excited. This is my very first lesson with you. You went and watched the video, How to Make Your Ministry a Success Overnight, the 18-minute video. If you haven't watched that video, once again, I'm going to highly suggest it. As I go along this journey, I don't want you to just pick up in the middle. Every video, I'm going to suggest the previous videos. Like I say, the first video was the 18-minute video, How to Make Your Ministry a Success Overnight. This video will be number 2. Number 3, we'll have the journey on and on and on. Also, we'll be creating an archive of these videos on our website. That'll be something that we'll talk about in the near future. But right now, you've decided to make your ministry a success. And this is purposely done this way. You know, I'm not putting these videos in my like page because I want to kind of bring the audience to a point to where the people who I'm going to share my intimate heart with are people who are really serious about this. Some people may decide that they want to just hear what's going on, but don't want to put the work in. So I'm hoping that you're here because you're ready to put the work in. You're serious about it, and you know who you are. Once again, you're my holy, humble, and hungry leader. You're going to hear that a lot. I'm going to actually, in one of my classes, break that down and explain to you how do you need to make sure every one of your leaders are holy, humble, and hungry. God gave those 3 words to me many years ago when I first started ministry, and so I want to continue beating that in your heart. We want to be holy enough to listen to God. The first to your equation of all this stuff, you know, we talked about in the 18-minute video, how you make your ministry success overnight. You got to have vision. You got to know what your success story is going to be. But for you to get vision, you got to be holy enough to listen to God. You got to listen to what God has for you. Get out of the social media world. I'm going to make a video just on that. Matter of fact, I'm going to write that down. You know, I know for a fact that you're right now talking to me on social media. You know, social media, I got to finish writing that down. Social media is like the mall. You know, some stores, you know, you don't want to go into the mall. If you go into the mall to get a suit, go to the suit store. If you go to the mall to get toys, go to the toy store. But if you end up just stopping in every store, you'll spend more time than you should. You spend more money than you should. And you'll wind up just overlooking the true purpose of why you went to the mall. Same thing with social media. You know, I was a big person against social media. We'll talk about that more in the future. But one thing I want to realize is that, you know, after I totally jumped off of social media, I had to realize that I still need to go to the mall. Some things I still needed from the store. I couldn't just become this, guy who had his head in the ground. I had to learn how to be strategic in my approach to the mall. So I'm asking you, you know, be strategic in your approach to social media. Social media will mess you up because you'll begin to start thinking that I'm not a success because of what everyone else is doing. Listen, that's not you. And that may have been that one service where they invited the world to come to, and every other service, they may have a third of that attendance. Or they may have got really excited in that one video, and then once that video started rolling, they went back to reality. We're creating this facade or a ministry is supposed to look like. So my first advice for you is take a step back. When you go to social media, go to social media on purpose. You stopping by to listen to this video, other helpful videos. You know, if you want to post a picture of your family, no problem. But don't allow yourself to get caught up in places that you don't need to be and looking in places too long. I literally will look through social media and see something that's really disturbing to me or maybe affecting my confidence. I'll swipe by it really quickly. So, but you didn't show up here to hear about social media. That's not my first lesson. My first lesson today is, you know, if you're going to take your ministry to the next level, you know, it's a certain approach you must take. And you got to realize that, number one, I'm not where I want to be. And once again, you got to realize that I'm hungry for more. And one of the greatest, speed bumps, or should I say roadblocks? I'm going to use roadblocks. Speed bumps slow you down. Roadblocks bring you to a halt. One of the greatest roadblocks to next level ministry thinking or getting to where you want to be is one word that a lot of people get offended by when you say this word. And some people avoid it by all means. Like I don't fall into that category. But it's a thin line between tradition and being non-traditional. It's a very thin line, because you can be non-traditional and then become tradition all over again. Just because you're trying so hard to be different, but you still get stuck in doing the same thing. Just because you're being different from everyone else don't mean you're not creating your own tradition. So my first lesson to you will be, if you're going to make your ministry success or take to the next level, you must break traditions. Write that down. First point would be, you must break traditions. I've come from a traditional background. I come from a ministry where, as a little kid, Baptist church. I was raised Baptist. My wife was raised Kojic. And I was always told my wife, when we opened up New Destiny Fellowship Church, like I say, she was raised Kojic, I was raised Baptist, and I was believing as a Baptist boy, that's the way things should be. And I don't go to church all day, and we don't do that. We go in, we go out. My wife was Kojic, and she went to church all day. They did a whole lot of stuff that I really didn't agree with. And our first battle was trying to figure out what church we're going to go to. Well, along that journey, we was married. We went to a couple of different churches, and we found one that closely fit our liking. It was my Bishop Leroy Woodard. I love him to death as my father in ministry. Mass shout outs to my father in ministry. If you're in the Houston area looking for a great church, go by City Cathedral. But it wasn't exactly what we were looking for. We was there for many years. Nothing against church. I mean, it taught us, gave us what we are. But me and my wife, we need something different. And that's where New Destiny came in. We would like to believe New Destiny, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you, because it talks about tradition and why the Baptist tradition is the way they are. My wife and I would like to say that New Destiny Fellowship Church is where Jesus met the woman at the well. Jesus says that, the woman will say, well, your people say you must worship God this way, and your people say you must worship God that way. And Jesus comes back and say that, the time is coming and the time is not here, where we must worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Spirit, charismatic. Truth, evangelical. And so what he's stating to her, the time is coming and time is not here. You cannot just be traditional. You must allow the Spirit to lead you. And you can't become so spiritual that where you don't keep some type of order. You got to maintain some order. And so, listen, you can come to the point to where you don't listen to the Spirit because I'm so stuck in tradition. Tradition can be your greatest roadblock, because, well, we can't do that here. We can't do that here because it breaks our tradition. Grandmama didn't do it. Papa didn't do it. The old pastor didn't do it. Somebody say, shatter tradition. You got to shatter it. I know some of you may be pastoring some older churches, and it may be a journey. I have a friend of mine that I'm working with right now, and I share some things with him all the time. He's like I'm mentoring him. He's a mentee. I love him to death. He has a great ministry. And the first thing I told him when he took over that ministry, when you get over there, don't try to take that church over and change everything overnight. You cannot do that. If you're going to make those changes, you got to be slow, you got to be strategic. And if you want to reach out to me, shoot me an email, and I can give you some advice on that. You want to be very strategic on that approach and how you go and make changes, because it can come off real quickly as you trying to be dominant and snatch away what they've always known. You don't want to do that. So everyone say, break tradition. We got to break tradition. I'm going to cover 3 areas in this video. This is going to talk about how you need to break tradition in 3 specific areas. The first area you need to be able to break tradition in is the calendar. The calendar. Write that down, the calendar, the church calendar. Now, after this video, I'm going to take the 3 lessons. In the next few weeks, I'm going to break these down. I'm going to teach you how to break tradition in your calendar. I'm going to teach you how to break tradition in the second thing we need to break tradition in is our collections. How we do offering. You won't believe that a lot of churches are suffering because of the way they do offering. How they focus, what are they thinking when it comes to taking the money, how you do things. I'm going to talk about that more in another video. But not just offering, but you got to learn how to break tradition in the culture of your church. So number 1, the calendar. Number 2, collections. And number 3, culture. So real quick, I'm going to kind of synopsize each one, and kind of talk about, the importance. Like I say, in my next video, I'll share with you, specifically, we're going to focus just on calendar in the next video. The video after that, we're going to focus on, collections. And then the video after that, we're going to focus on the culture. So real quick, you must be able to break tradition in your calendar. I know many of y'all have had the same calendar. And listen, I know you built relationships around that calendar. And once again, if you're part of the old culture, I understand it's going to be like pulling teeth. Because if you pull out of the whole entire calendar, throw it away, you're going to break a whole lot of relationships. And believe it or not, we're going to get to the collections in a minute. Some of y'all really depend on your financial support because of that calendar. Well, when we talk about breaking the tradition in your collections, you realize that you don't have to depend on, being imprisoned by so many engagements because I'm depending on that money. We don't want to ever get to that point to where we're doing that. If you are, I'll slowly work with you as well and kind of help you back slowly out of that, and listen, everything you got to do in love. You got to realize not only are you depending on no financial support, the other churches you're connected with, you're in bondage with. I'm going to utilize that word very lightly. They're depending on your financial support as well. So there's ways we can pull out of that. Once again, if you want advice on how to do that, I can help you out. That's no problem. Get with me. Send me an email, and I help you get there. The first thing, you cannot get so imprisoned by a calendar that you got to do every year. Nothing against anyone, but I'm going to be very specific on some things. And one of the worst things I do or I experience, I'll go somewhere and I'll take a preaching engagement. And while I'm at that preaching engagement, a pastor would tell me, hey, same time next year, and you're going to do the same thing until God comes back. Well, I don't say anything right then, but I know that's not the case. I don't ever get caught up in a traditional calendar. Calendar is a prison. It can be a prison very quickly. And so I don't, even for ministries, like I say, even if you're a youth ministry, you don't want to say I'm going to do the same thing every year. Even if you're a nonprofit organization, you don't want to say I'm going to do the same thing every year. You don't ever want to do that. God is a God of order, yes, but also he's a God of seasons, and every season is not the same. One season you got to do things this way. One season you got to do things this way. And just because it's the same time every year don't mean the season is the same. And so you have to listen to the post. Now, listen, it's a thin line also between, being non-traditional and also being a rebel. And so the only way you're going to be able to meet that line and say, well, I'm just being different than everybody, I'm going to always change. You don't want to do that either. You want to slow down and kind of think about that. You want to make sure you follow God. And as we go through these journeys, I'm going to share with you different tips on how to make sure you follow God. I'm going to make sure I'm writing down many notes while we're talking, but I'm gathering, more content as I teach you. A lot of things are going to be regurgitated from my heart. And so I need to talk to you about how to follow God. It's very, very important in your journey. And it's something I always share with people about following God. So we're going to deal with that in another video. But listen, I'm really excited about this whole entire point. But you got to realize you cannot get caught up into the prison, the calendar prison. Say it with me, the calendar prison. It's a prison. I'm so big on that because you can miss God because you're so caught up in this calendar. We're going to talk about that next week on more about the calendar piece. The next thing you want to make sure that you got to break the tradition in is your collection. Listen, I got to be real with you. So many people utilize collection so wrong. I know I'm going to be talking and stepping on some toes here. But you can literally stifle your offering trying to get more. And if you want to grow your church, take the next level, you cannot focus so much on offering. There's ways you can strategically approach offering. Once again, I'm going to do another video 2 weeks from now, and I'm going to talk strategically just about offering. The reason I'm doing these videos a week at a time, because you need at least a week to process what I'm going to tell you. And a lot of people want to know, how can you tell me about these things? What are you doing? I'm going to be honest with you. I've been pastoring now 7 years, and I'm in a small country town, Cold Spring, Texas. I'm proud of this town. And God has blessed our ministry tremendously. We've gone from, a community center to a shopping center to about a 9,000 square foot building. I'm not saying that to brag, but a lot of times people don't want to know, don't care what you know until you know how much you care. And then some people don't care what you care about until you know how much you know. And so God has blessed us to go that route. Listen, can we afford it? No, we could not afford any move we made. But it's a certain approach I took, and it wasn't manipulative. You cannot manipulate people to give. If you started being manipulative, people they're gonna kind of react to that manipulation. Listen, I was raised Baptist. I was, and I knew if you're gonna do 5 offerings, I'm gonna bring $5 and put it in my pocket. And every time you take up an offering, I'm gonna give you another $1. But if I know for a fact you're gonna be sincere, you're gonna take up one good offering, and when you take up that one good offering, I'm gonna give my best. Now, do I ever take up a second offering? Yes, I do, and I explain that more when I do that lesson. I do take up a second offering at times when it calls for it. But when I do so, the people know that if Bishop Harden is taking up a second offering, it's because a need is there. And 90% of the time, it's not for me and it's not for the house. I'll talk to you about that in the future. So get ready for that. But you must break tradition in collection. And lastly, culture. Culture is what we establish. I tell people all the time, to maintain culture, you got to be consistent. To kill culture, you got to be inconsistent. So if you've been doing things the same way for a long time, change the consistency. Don't continue doing that, and the culture will change. If you want to change the culture, become consistent in something else. And we got to change the culture. How we look at church, how we look at, our approach to ministry. You must change that. If you change the culture, listen, the collection will change. If you change the culture, the calendar will change. If you change the culture, your whole approach will change. Listen, this is not going to happen overnight. This is not going to be a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. So I thank you for listening to me on this first video of you taking your ministry to the next level. Once again, thank you for choosing me to be your next level coach. And we're going to take you from your frustration to your destination by helping you admit that you're not where you want to be, accept where you should be, and do the work it's going to take you to do to get you to where you're supposed to be. God bless you. I love you. And remember, let's go up.